all this. I love it. We are live. This is Andrea Beaman, who my good moderator friend hooked me up with you, ma'am. First of all, welcome to Brave TV.
Oh, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
First of all, are you from New York or the Northeast originally?
Yeah, I'm a native New Yorker.
Where part?
Born in Queens, and then I lived in Queens for 28 years, and then moved to Manhattan, and I've been in Manhattan for 25 years.
Wow, I hear that voice. I'm originally from the Binghamton area, Syracuse area, so I don't have the great city accent like you do. I was looking at all of your stuff, and I'm like, wow, she just knows everything and what is happening in the world of health, and she totally nails it. Can you give everyone in my audience who's never seen you before, who's about to find out about you, what's your background and how did you end up in this world of health and coaching and practitioner, et cetera?
Well, like most people who get involved in health, I was sick, right? So you get a sickness and then you're given a diagnosis. And for me, my diagnosis was hyperthyroid, and I had a large goiter. And my doctors had recommended radioactive iodine to destroy my thyroid and then be on medication for the rest of my life. And like, I was in the doctor's office and like red flags are going up all over. And I'm like, wait a minute, you want me to take radioactive something or other that's going to destroy a gland, and then I have to be on a medication for the rest of my life? I said, that just doesn't sound right. I'm going to pass on. I'm going to ixnay no on that. So I said to the doctor, look, I said, I need to change my diet and my lifestyle. I know I eat crap. I'm drinking coffee and smoking and partying all day and all night. I said, I know that I'm doing something here that's not really good. And my doctor said, listen, your diet and your lifestyle has nothing to do with your disease. And I said, yeah, this was like 25 years ago.
Wow.
So I said, listen, I get that you may see it that way, but I'm going to make a change first and see what happens. So I leave the doctor's office and I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I started taking care of myself. And within 4 months, my goiter started shrinking. I started to sleep through the night. I started to go to the bathroom on a regular basis. I had more energy. I was like, holy crap. So I go back to the doctor, take another blood test, and the doctor says, well, your thyroid levels have changed. They're no longer dangerously high. You don't have to worry about a heart attack, but you're still not normal. So you got to take some medication for the rest of your life. And I go, look, I've only been doing this for 3 months or 4 months or whatever it is. I said, I'm just going to keep going down this path and see what happens. So I changed doctors, of course. And then I at the time I was working for MTV Networks. So I had health insurance, what I call health insurance. And so I changed doctors and I saw a new doctor every 6 months. Then each doctor told me that I had a new disease. And I just kept saying no. They kept wanting to give me more and more medication. I just kept saying no. And then after 2 years, my thyroid became completely normal. And that was 25 years ago. And I've been shouting it from the rooftops ever since. So I studied holistic medicine, energetic medicine, herbal medicine, you name it. I studied all the crunchy granola stuff, traditional Chinese medicine. I studied all of the ancient healing modalities because those were more truthful.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my story.
So there's so much. So first of all, you're that type of woman. For my wife and I, when we had our daughter, we had a midwife. We did everything naturally. We're both chiropractors. We're in clinical nutrition, etc. And you remind me of our midwife, who is like you are the person that I can just totally hang out with. Like, I hate the word crunchy because it makes us sound like we're different. We actually know the truth, but your hair is amazing. And
oh, thanks.
And it's almost so you were with MTV Network. And so did you flip from this very, and for a lack of a better word, this consumerism world of disease management to holy crap, there's this other world over here where I can still consume what I want to and enjoy life and be entertained a little bit. But let me learn about how the world really works, how my body works, and the fact that I don't need all this pharmaceutical crap to make me like, because you seem so green and eco, like that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yes, I was exactly what you said. That's the perfect way to put it. I was in this consumerism world, which includes medicine, right? Or at least modern medicine, the way that we know it. You got an ache, you got a pain. Here, take this. Let's numb the pain. Let's numb the ache. Let's stop your body from giving you the information that you need, which is, hey, I need a nutrient. Hey, I need some exercise. Hey, I need an adjustment, right? Your body is always talking. The human body is brilliantly designed, and it'll tell us what we need if we listen to it. But we've been taught not to listen to it, to listen to something else, to shut it up, to dumb it down, to let it know that it doesn't know what it's doing, and let's oh wait, oh you intestines not working? Let's cut that piece out. Let's put a bag in there. Oh, gallbladder's not working? Goodbye to your gallbladder. It's bizarro world when I look at it now. And I was the kind of person when I was growing up, I was in the doctor's office every 3 weeks. Right? I took another antibiotic, another antibiotic, another antibiotic, every 3 weeks I was there because it was a never ending cycle, a revolving door of medicine after medicine after medicine after medicine, not getting to the root cause, which was my imbalance. Not being, I was out of alignment with the natural world, out of alignment with the earth, out of alignment with so many things. And all I had to do was get back in alignment, and it shifted my body into a whole different space. And as it shifted my body, my mind and my emotional body and my spiritual body kind of followed suit, right? So, I know that we're connected via the internet, but I feel connected all the time.
So this is actually interesting. I feel, and it's funny because whenever I have somebody on, like I usually have a couple questions that I know I'm going to ask, but a lot of times it's just like having fun because I always notice people end up on my schedule as guests at the right time. And you're literally divinely placed where you are today because with all of the complete and utter chaos going on in the world right now, and I've had to go down a couple rabbit holes the last couple days because of how my show works, and it's Friday, and we need some sanity in the world, and we need some fun, and your laugh, first of all, is infectious. And then I stumbled upon your video about common senseitis. And I'm like, and it's funny because you know how like we put all our websites together and they're all pretty and everything, and like you see this picture of a face, you look like a divine, wonderful woman, and I'm like, okay, she's really cool. Let me check. And then I clicked on that video and I'm like, oh no, she's really cool. Like with all the chaos going on, and I hate that we have to discuss words like COVID and vaccines and all this BS. Has your world completely changed in the last year, not because of the negative, but because people are waking up to what you, myself, others out there have to offer and listening to your body and knowing that it doesn't have to be sick?
Well, I mean, my world hasn't actually changed. I've been shouting from the rooftops for a long time about I love modern medicine. I want to get clear that if I go out into the street and I get hit by a bus in New York City, you don't take me to the health food store.
Absolutely.
Right? Wheel me right to the hospital. That's where I want to go.
Right.
So like as far as trauma and putting people back together when they've been literally like blown apart and taken apart, right? That's where they excel. But as far as health and wellness and preventative healing and happiness, they're so far off the mark that it's unbelievable. And it's an indoctrination, right? That's it.
Yep.
Indoctor, indoctrination. So that, I have no malice toward the industry. because they've been taught a specific thing and they haven't been taught to question it. And, I like the ancient healers, and I like the ancient wisdom, which was question everything, right? You question everything unless and you only do what makes sense to your own divine nature and common sense, right? So common sense is the human piece, and your divine nature is the spiritual piece, right? So I haven't changed in the past year or two over this whole can't say the word CVID, COVID, right? Nonsense. I've been shouting it from the rooftops for a long time. It's only that more and more people are now starting to shake out of that hallucination, is the only thing that I can call it.
Yep.
Right? It's like a veil.
It's a magic spell.
Yes. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like, I since like I had COVID last year in 2020, and my husband had it too. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, it's a new virus. My tonsils didn't recognize it when it came. It just went straight into my lung, right? So I knew that it was new for me, whatever it was, whether it was virus or 5G disrupting the cells or whatever the hell it was. It doesn't matter. It happened. And within 2 weeks of healing, after the healing process, I was like, wait a minute. This is not making sense at all. Right? To get people out of the sunshine, to lock them away in their homes, right? I understand it's new. I get that, but this is not making sense at all. So like immediately it didn't make sense what was going on. And I started to question it, but I saw that there was this mass hallucination happening. And I was like, wow, what is happening in the world that so many people are just following blindly this narrative that doesn't make any sense at all, like no sense. And I think that now on the path, more and more people are starting to blip awake, right? They're starting to see something that they didn't see before. And they're like, it's almost like their mind is being blown apart. And they're going to be very fragile people, and they're going to need a lot of support and a lot of love as they try and pick up the pieces of, like you said, you're a chiropractor, so you're hip to this for a long time, right? This is not probably new information,
right?
Right, the natural healing and the alignment, and that's probably not new for you, but for a lot of people, this is a brand new experience, and it's shocking. I'm seeing a lot of shock. Wherever I look, I'm seeing people that are just look like they're deer caught in the headlights kind of thing. So I don't know if I answered the question or
no,
if I went off on a tangent.
you perfectly did, and I want to spend as little time on that as possible because it's been destroyed. It's a dead horse that you can't keep beating. I want to go into your journey because I'm on my biggest demographic in practice, both physically and virtually, are females, because females are being decimated. And I don't say that pleasantly. The family structure is being torn apart, which is completely wrong. And I'm very patriotic. We need our families together to build a proper nation. And women, the same things all the time I hear, are exhausted. Thyroid panels come back, they're wrong, they look good, they feel terrible, weight is going crazy, hormones are going crazy. I love to hear like from you. My wife talks about it as well, but I always love different viewpoints because everyone's going to learn sometimes from a different voice, and the message comes from that messenger. When you went from clearly sick and not functioning properly, still functioning but not functioning, and then you moved over, you started learning. And I'm assuming when you started learning and reading and studying, it just became an obsession of like, oh my God, I'm onto the truth. What did you feel and how did your body shift when you started putting actual real stuff in your body?
Well, I mean, it was an interesting experience because I had levels of transition, right? So initially, 25 years ago, I started out macrobiotic, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing that was going on back then. And it was better, healthier food and naturally raised and all that stuff. It was a lot of grain, like rice coming out of my ears. But it was better than what I was eating. So my body started to shift. And I couldn't deny what I was physically feeling in my system. To deny that is just, it's almost, I think, a form of insanity, right? To deny your body is feeling and shifting in a specific direction, there has to be a reason for it, right? So for me, it was I actively changed my diet and my lifestyle, and the body started to shift and feel better, and weight started to drop off without dieting. Thyroid started to heal, like all these things started to change. And then, of course, I was consuming everything, Doc, everything, you name it. And at the time, veganism, right, was on the radar. So I was like, eating all the vegan books. And, like I think I was like 3 or 4 years vegan. And then I felt a crash in my system. And I was like, okay, so this doesn't feel right. My body's crashing. My muscles are breaking down. I said, something's not right. No matter what I read in this book and that book and all the great books in the world or whatever at the time, I said, physical body's saying something's not right. I got to listen again. So that's when, I'd sit in meditation and eat meat would come, and I'd be like, what? Who said that? Am I going to go to hell? The devil could come. So I had to honor that other voice, that internal voice that was coming. Remember, we're talking thyroid. That internal voice that was speaking and saying something beyond what I read in a book. So when I shifted and started to incorporate more animal meats and animal proteins, again, a shift happened in my physical body. And I was like, I can't deny this. And at the time, I think at least when I shifted and I started telling my clients at that time, oh, no, it's time to eat meat and all that stuff, like 30% of my client base was gone. They were like, no, you're going to eat meat. You're going to go to hell, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you have to go on your journey. I'm going to continue this way. So it started, each time that I took on a new level of healing, the physical body, the emotional body, the energetic body, the spiritual body, there was always another shift. And I had to be open and aware of those shifts. Otherwise, I'd miss them, right? So I'm a big fan of using food and herbs as medicine. And I start there with everyone because we're living in a physical body and they can understand that, right? So the physical body creates the blood, which is creating all of the cells, which is creating the actual physical body. So they understand food. So I always start there. And then, of course, we go deeper and deeper. For me, healing the thyroid, and you talked about so many people with the thyroid panels and thyroid this. So the thyroid on the emotional and the spiritual plane from ancient medicine, this is your ability to express truth, your ability to voice truth, the ability to receive truth that's being expressed to you. And if somebody is not saying truth, your third eye, right, pineal gland will say, nope, that's not the truth, right? And then you say, nope, that's not the truth. So the journey is interesting because it's always shifting. And I notice for the past 20 years, the rise in thyroid disease. And, your thyroid is slowing down. Well, let's give you a thyroid hormone to speed it up. Or your thyroid's going too fast. Let's give you a thyroid hormone to slow it down. But on the deeper level, the thyroid is saying, hey, something's out of balance. There's a truth that's not being expressed here. There's some truth that is, or maybe it's even bigger. There's a gigantic lie that's happening. And you as a woman, like you said, women are being decimated. You as a woman have to speak up and express it. You have to get to that truth and find out what it is and express it. Otherwise, that thyroid's always going to be out of balance.
I'm just applauding everything you're saying.
Thanks.
You're so, this is a breath of fresh air to hear from somebody else and going as deep as you are. And I actually loved that you talked about with your own world and how you went to like veganism and you studied out, because I actually went through that as well. My wife and I went through raw and veganism, and then we end up back in like, hey, you need glandulars to actually heal the body. You need actual meat, animal tissue, not factory farming, but like real ethically raised meats, products, things like that. But you were so smart and so spiritually awake you followed the evolution versus just putting the brakes on and going, no, that can't be that voice. That can't be it. I'm being tricked. Like you just went with the journey. And there's so many people today, and I'm curious if you see this, that are in such confusion. They're not even hearing that voice, or there's so much marketing out there. They get taken into the propaganda and they end up in something that actually makes them worse. Do you notice that?
Oh my gosh, everywhere. I see it everywhere. And you're 100% right. It's the marketing of it, right? So our senses are taking in everything, right? So our ears, our eyes, our skin, our taste, right? We're
Yep.
taking in everything into this vessel. And what we listen to and what we watch and what we take in is going to have an impact on what we believe, right? So we have to make what comes into the vessel as strong as what the vessel is internally saying, right? So that when the marketing comes to you, you can decipher, oh, that's true for me, or no, that's not the truth. That's a total line, a lap of bull crap, whatever the heck it is. So, I think that getting the physical body in balance is just as important as getting the spiritual body in balance so that you can navigate the world more effectively and more efficiently and be, like, I think that health and happiness is our divine right, and if we're not healthy and we're not happy and we're struggling and suffering, something's out of balance, right? So we have to look at it from many different levels. So we look at what happened over the past year and a half, right? Separation of people from people that they love, people dying alone in hospitals, that should be, I mean, I,
Criminal at every
I,
level.
oh my gosh, it's really bizarre, really bizarre. Like, I'm hoping somewhere along the line, the justice system comes up and says, let's bring charges against this organization or person or whatever it is. But I'm not holding out any faith in that.
Right. I understand.
you know, just keep that as a possibility. But I think that human beings are amazing. I think that we are amazing and we're brilliantly designed and we were created by a force that is much bigger than the government or the medical or the right. We're just like these divine creations, and when we can tap into that space, then you know the truth, right? And this will work for me, this won't work for me, or let me try this. Like it opens up a world of possibilities rather than shrinks you down into a small little tiny, I'm a victim, I'm feeble, right? It's small. I think that humans are way bigger than we think that we are. And I wish that it was taught in school, like from the time that you're a little kid. I wish that we were taught that we are amazing freaking creatures, like brilliant. But we're not. We're taught this linear thing, right? 2 + 2 is 4, and 4 + 4 is 8, and get your reading and your writing, and right, and don't question authority, and the buzzer goes off. Well, okay, get up out of the chair, and you're going to go to the next class, right? No, buzzer goes off over there, but right? Like Pavlov's dogs, So I think that we need to break out of that, and I'm happy that there are people in the world that are helping people see that there's another way, right, to be in the world rather than be in fear, rather than be unhealthy and unhappy and in disharmony, right? There's
Yep.
another way to be in the world, and I think you know that's
I
how I
love it.
feel.
You have light like just pouring onto your body. That's like that's one of the things that I noticed just about you is it just like beams out. And it's interesting because I think it was yesterday or the day before on my show I said I very often, and I think you're a good example of this. That's why I want to bring it up because I wasn't gonna ask this, but it popped in my mind. It happens both male and female, but I hear it a lot in women. In my patients, is they're questioning their decisions, they're questioning themselves, they're questioning their intuition. What if I'm not right on this? What if this isn't the correct way to do it? And I would love to hear it from your lips, because I know what it sounds like from mine. But and I think it's one of the reasons why women tend to fall into having problems, because the psychosomatic situation of people, of healthcare, is women have to take their voice back, and they have to know to not only just follow the intuition, but know that you're naturally right. Because yes, we're a human frame and we have to take care of this thing, and we'll go into food and all that cool stuff. But trust yourself as a female. Even if you have a spouse or a partner who is not on the same page right now, you have to find your power. You have to find who you are, and know that even if you make a mistake, you're naturally going for the right thing, but you have to trust yourself. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, so I'll give you a great example. And what you said is 100% on the money. You have to trust yourself. So if you think back to the 1400s and 1500s, there were the witch trials, right? Yep. So these were, vast majority were women, but there were men too. And they were connected to the earth and to the natural process, and they trusted the intuition. You spoke about intuition, right? So there's this thing beyond science and beyond facts and figures that is wisdom, right? So they were taught for hundreds of years, don't trust that wisdom, don't trust that intuition. And because so many were killed and burned, and that's been ingrained in our society, where there is this fear to trust that, this energetic fear, because of what happened, right? You had people being burned at the stake in the crowd, in the town square, and people would come out and cheer.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So there's this fear that has been passed on from generation to generation. Don't trust your intuition. Don't trust that inner wisdom. You have to trust the science, right? So I'm going to encourage people to find the balance between both, right? Find the balance between the intuition, the innate knowing, the inner truth, and balance that with maybe the data and the scientific details and all that stuff, and bring them together and see if it resonates with you. And if it doesn't resonate with you, don't do it. Like, it has to resonate with you. And we've been taught, especially women, don't trust that. Oh, intuition and sixth sense, that's devil, right?
Yeah,
that's devil worshiping. You're going to go to hell, right? So, let's bring it back. Let's bring some of that ancient wisdom back, that deeper connection to the self, and deeper connection to the earth, and deeper connection to the entire universe. Let's bring some of it back so that we can come to a place of balance. And like I said, I'm not anti-medicine. I think medicine has its place and it's really important, but something happened to medicine along the way that it got hijacked by, greed, money, financial gain. When money comes above health and happiness, we have to look at that. And yeah, people are just, I'll give you a really great example. There was a guy that used to live around the block from me on 79th Street, and his name was Bo, and he was a great salesman. He was awesome. And we used to meet up at the health food store, and he'd say, "Oh, you never guess what I'm selling now, and you never guess what I'm selling now, and I make this much money and that much money." And he was so savvy, right? And then one day I see him in the health food store, and he's like, "I'm making more money than I've ever made." And I said, "Wow, what are you selling now?" And he goes, "I'm selling black box pharmaceuticals." And I said, "What's a black box pharmaceutical?" I had no idea.
Right.
I had no idea. And he goes, "Oh, those are the medicines that they know cause cancer, or they'll cause you to, have like a real terrible, horrible death, right? Or, and that's a black box medication. So I'm selling those now to the doctors." And I said, "Damn, Bo." And he goes, "Hey, I got to make money. And I was like, okay, I understood from his perspective, living in New York City, rents are high and all that stuff, and he's making more money than he's ever made. So I don't have any uh, negative feelings toward him. He's on his own journey and making his own path. But the fact that consciously we can do that shows that there's a sickness in the human mind that we've created, that money comes upon above health and happiness of other human beings, right? Financial gain comes above that. That is a sickness of the entire society, and it's permeated our society. Like we've lost our connection to each other. We've lost our connection to our hearts, to love. I know it may sound crunchy granola. You used the word crunchy earlier, but we've lost that connection. Like, I can't intentionally cause someone harm for financial gain because I feel that it hurts my soul, right? Because I feel connected, right? I feel like my soul is connected to other souls on the planet. The other human beings, I feel like we're one big family, right? Family of humans, one species. And one of the things that makes me think that the only way to get us connected back to each other as a species is that if aliens come down to the planet and they just start killing off all the human beings, right? Just killing off all the human beings, or taking us and eating us, who knows, right? Some science fiction thing. So then us human beings would look at each other and go, oh, we have to band together and protect each other, right? Because there's this other thing that's trying to kill us. So there is this thing that's killing us in droves. And it's, I think, financial greed and financial gain without any care about what happens to the people, right? The other human beings.
I think you read the same books I read. and you were it's so funny. I get along with you because you're very similar to my wife in a lot of ways. And it's as I'm listening to you, and I'll be very open and upfront about this, is I have that personality that can sometimes swing in one direction. And you being a little similar to my wife, you keep me balanced, or she keeps me balanced. And then sometimes she swings over into the, I don't want to say woo, because I love the woo world, but sometimes I'm like, sweetheart, you have to see what is happening. Like, look. And she's like, no, everything's gonna be perfect. Everything's all right. And so sometimes I have to give her a reality check of like, you're not wrong, but we still have to make decisions and choices. And it's just that's that yin yang. Like, it's so perfect. So like, that's why I think I get along so well with you just from the start without even meeting you in person. Like, we would totally get along and have dinner or lunch and just have fun. And it's so accurate. And it's one of the things, just talking to you, is now that more people are being exposed to, all I can say is natural health, but it's bigger than that, is they're being exposed to people like you and seeing that there's people like you out there that love and care and want to see them well, because some of them, all they're doing is seeing mainstream media. They're seeing social media, and it's getting pumped in their face all day long. And they're losing hope because they don't know you are out there. I mean, like, your patients or clients, however you word it, must absolutely adore you.
Yeah, they all want to be my best friend.
Good and bad, right? 100%. I want to dive into food a little bit with you, but before I do that, I have to go to a taboo topic, because I've discussed this before, and now that I have a female on here to discuss it, I want to get the take from a female, because I know I've talked to my wife about it. And this is actually it's not a disease, but it kind of is. It's affecting women and men. I just had a podcast I came off of before I came on with you, and we discussed it. And it's the topic of sex. And it has been, in my belief system, not belief system, but watching everything happen, that one of the actual issues with not only America, but the world, is the family dynamic and the sexual process, but not just from a physical, from a spiritual standpoint. Seeing a lot of women struggle with hormone issues, struggle with anything health-wise. And one of the questions I ask in my office is, how is the sex life? And it almost becomes they shield themselves or kind of like quickly like put up that facade or mask, and so does the guy, because in today's world the guy wants it, no problem, it's an on-off switch, and women, like, the formula's not there, it's a cockpit and everything. But I truly believe for us to all heal properly, it's not just the physical act of sex. This is not a pornographic film, but putting back that chemistry. And is that something you see or talk to with your clients about, and from a female standpoint?
Well, I mean, mostly we talk about, getting them back in balance, and
Right.
sex is part of that, 100%. So one of the things that happened to sex is that it was made dirty,
Yep.
and it was made shameful. And it should be, and I don't like to use the word should, or it could be, a very pleasurable and wonderful experience, and a union
Right.
of, right, the yin and the yang.
Yep.
This union that comes together. And I think that it can be a beautiful thing, like a really beautiful thing. And I'll give you I'll give you a really good example. When I was first starting my practice, 20 years ago, I had a client, and she was in her 50s, and she had uterine cancer. And the doctor told her she had like 18 months to live or something like that. Like, this type of cancer, by the way, when the doctor says that to anyone, just try not to believe any of that stuff, right? Because our thoughts are very powerful. If you believe you're going to die in 18 months, comes 17 months from now, start making all your plans, your death plans.
Right.
Right. So she, Ellen was her name. She had this uterine cancer, and we changed her diet and her lifestyle, and she'd go to Central Park every day, and she would exercise and all that stuff. And she had a lot of anger that was popping up. And I said, okay, let's do some chakra work, like ancient medicine. Let's see what's happening with these energy centers in your body, and specifically your second chakra, which is where the uterus is housed. Let's see what's happening. So I had her fill out some paperwork, and one of the questions was, how is your sexual relationship with your significant other? And she wrote, terrible, right? She wrote down. So when I asked her about it, I said, oh gosh, I thought you guys had such a good relationship. Like, you and Jeff look like you have a really nice connection with each other. She goes, oh no, she goes, not Jeff. She goes, my first husband from, 15 years ago. I hate him. I hope he dies. What he did to me. He should never be forgiven, right? For all this stuff.
Whoa.
So she wasn't even present to her current
marriage. She hadn't even moved on to her current situation.
Yes. Where she could have had a new, beautiful, wonderful relationship with the new guy and release all that stuff. So she was holding on to this anger in her second chakra, her relationship area, where she was absorbing the energy from the ex, and she couldn't let any of that go. And I said, okay, well, what about would you ever consider forgiving him for what he did? And we never got into what he did. Would you ever consider forgiving him so you could go on and have this beautiful relationship with this man who obviously loves you to death? Jeff is a great guy. And she's like, I'll never forgive him. I'd rather die before forgiving him.
Ooh.
And you know what? Yeah. To the date, I was at her funeral. I was giving her husband a hug. I said, I'm so sorry, but we have this physical body, this sexual body, like we have so much, and we can carry so much in it. Right? So what you were talking about, right? Hormone imbalances. Hormones are emotions. Right. In ancient medicine, the blood is carrying the emotions, but if you look at what the emotions are, they're the hormones, right? We have a reaction to something, and a hormone is released into the body. You're feeling love, oxytocin is released into the body. You're feeling fear, adrenaline, stress hormone released into the body. So it's got to go somewhere, and it's got to be resolved, and it's got to be felt pleasure.
Right.
Right.
I love that. I love that you said the emotions and the hormones. There's so many people that don't know that. Like that is it changes, and everyone wonders why they're adrenal fatigued, thyroid is out, and we have every female condition under the sun now. When I say condition, I don't mean that, but we know what we mean. Everything from the PCOSs to the endometriosis. And I tell people 70-80% of disease is psychosomatic. I mean, you're dealing with an emotional component that you're not confronting. And yes, there's a physical aspect to it, but so many that are just, again, that veil, that mask, that they don't want to confront it. And well done for getting people to at least look at it, because not everyone has that gift.
Well, I try, right? That's all I can do is try, like present the material or present the signpost. Here, try this way. And then I leave it up to the people, everybody has a path that they're going to take. And I can't take responsibility for my people that my patients, I can't call them patients legally, my clients that heal, and I can't take responsibility for my clients that don't heal.
Right.
Right. So the responsibility for their health and wellness lies in their hands. I can only be the guidepost and say, hey, maybe try this and maybe try that. Um, you know, uh, we're all here and we're all having our own experience. And it's nice when you can meet people that you trust, that you can look to for guidance and support and love. And that, like, if you have this trust, someone's not going to steer you in a wrong direction. And I also believe that even if you go in a wrong direction, it's a learning experience, right? So
Right.
there's no good and bad. There's just learning experiences. Okay, so this didn't work. Let's try that one. And if that one doesn't work, let's go back the other way and try that one. So if we can look at this as an education, right? Being in a human body on planet Earth is an education for your soul.
Bizarro world, we are here. That is for sure.
Oh my gosh, it's so bizarre right now. It's just crazy.
Let's have some fun and talk about some food. We're having fun, but let's have some real, like, we all love food, and food is fuel, but we can also enjoy it. And I'm going to show your website in a little bit, because you have a really nice website, like really pretty. But food, where do I even start with food for you? So, I know there's no diet. I hate the word diet, or I just don't like the word diet. I'm more of a lifestyle person. I personally I tell people, any given moment, I'm falling somewhere between carnivore-ish and paleo, and just trying to do the best to keep the carbs down, things like that. Where do you fall from a food standpoint? Like, give people background. I know it's not a recipe thing, because I get people like, just give me recipes. And I'm like, it's not about the recipes, folks. It's about a lifestyle. But give them a little background on where you are with food.
Well, there's so many different diets, and not one diet's going to work for all people, right? So what I like to do is get people connected back to the cycles and the seasons. So what that looks like is,
I love that, by the way.
oh, thanks. Yeah, that's ancient medicine.
That's
right.
right.
So you get people connected back to the cycles and the seasons, and that means that broccoli doesn't grow all year long.
It doesn't?
Right? It may be good for you and contain all the, everything that you need for anti-cancer and all that indole 3 and all that stuff, but it doesn't grow all year round, right? So the earth has these cycles, and as the spring, summer, fall, winter, whatever you want to call them, right? These seasonal changes. And as the seasons change, the bacteria in the soil changes, right? So
Yep.
we have to keep that in mind, because let's look at now, the science is catching up with the microbiome and the amount of bacteria that we have inside our body that helps us digest food and supports our immune system and all that stuff. And in ancient medicine, the stomach is the earth element, right? And we're literally taking food from the earth and putting it into our earth element. And then our earth element is working it and transferring it, sending it to the small intestine and building your blood and all that stuff. So when you get connected back to the cycles and the seasons, you're going to get the right food at the right time of year that's going to feed a specific bacteria inside your body that's going to help to keep you strong and healthy. It doesn't mean that sickness will never come. It doesn't mean that you won't get cancer or some other disease. It just means that you're giving the body the fuel and the energy that it needs to be able to handle this stuff better, right? Everything that's going to be thrown at you. So I like to tell my clients, connect with your local farmers, join a community supported agriculture, right? That's the first thing that you can do to save money and save your health, right? So in my CSA, I've been part of a CSA for over 25 years. Same one. She's from upstate New York. Deb and her family grow the food. And in the springtime, what comes in my box is different than what comes in the summertime, is different than what comes in the fall. And in the wintertime, I am certainly eating way more meat, way more fat, way more roots, way more bones, right? All of the things, because right, that's what's happening around me in the winter. But for somebody that's down in South America, where it's tropical all the time, they're going to need completely different food, right? The mangoes and coconuts that are dropping out of the trees, the chicken, the eggs, right? The fish that's there surround that. They're going to need that kind of food to support their physical body within the environment that they're living. So I like to connect to the cycles and the seasons because it gets your internal environment in harmony with the external environment wherever you are. And I have clients in every country around the world, and every one of their diets has to be different because of where they live. If they live in India, they're going to be eating the food that is grown within that local environment as often as possible. It doesn't mean to be 100%. It doesn't mean that I never eat a coconut, right? So I live in New York City. Coconuts don't grow here. I've never gotten one in my CSA. Never gotten a coconut, and I'm not going to get one, right? But I can eat that stuff in smaller quantities. It's not the main bulk of my food. It's a supplement. It's something that's fun. It goes into my fun food category. Same with bananas, right? Fun food category for me.
Right.
Mostly I'm eating berries and peaches and plums and watermelons and nectarines and all the stuff that grows around here. Like I'm using that as an example because it's summertime.
Sure.
Right. And it's cooling and refreshing and it's fun. But in the wintertime, there's no fruit at all. Right? Maybe some apples, right? So when we start to shift the body and get it in alignment with what the earth and the cycles and the seasons are naturally supplying for us, there's a grounding that happens, right? There's a grounding that happens with the physical body. And my personal belief is that when we are grounded, we become antennas, right? Because you need to ground it. We become antennas for the guidance and the support, the universal knowledge that we need to make it here on the planet, right? We're on the planet for what? How long? You're in and out of the body in no time. But while you're here, you're going to get guidance, you're going to get support, you're going to get knowledge, you're going to get wisdom, but you need to be grounded in order to receive it, to become the receiver of it.
That is so well stated. That like it's in regionally is how we were actually supposed to eat. And one of the reasons why people have so many problems with certain foods, and a lot of times in the carb world, is because you're not supposed to be eating that fruit all the time. Like you're not so that like it doesn't grow where you actually are. Which I think there's actually a model for that, and I've never studied it in depth. But it's kind of like sunset or sundial, sun type nutrition, in the fact that the sun helps grow our food. And if you're in the proper season and eating the proper food of that season, your body aligns with whatever is necessary. And you said antenna, and I've told people, if you keep pumping like heavy metals into the body that go up into the blood-brain barrier and cover your brain is the antenna that goes to source. Yeah. Your brain is the antenna that connects to God. And it's actually interesting because you just added the next level of that, which I had not been teaching, which is electricity needs a grounding wire. Like you have to ground to be properly aligned and have that electricity and the energy working to connect.
Yeah.
That's so great. I love that.
Well, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
How many books do you have out now?
Oh, I have 4.
4 books.
Yeah.
Jeez. Tell me about them while I look for them on your website so that I can show everybody.
Well, they're in my store. Like,
That's fine. I'll bring it right up. It's not a problem. I love what you're doing. I am the type of person where I believe there's plenty of money out there for everybody that are doing the right things to help people, and anyone who I can help promote that's going to help somebody, don't worry, it'll come back multiple on me just like it comes back multiple on you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, I also believe in abundance. You know,
Yes.
like we're not hurting people, right? We're
Correct.
helping people and supporting people. Yeah. So the first book, the Whole Truth, the one on the left there, that was my first book, and I wrote that when I was oh my gosh, I was just a little pumpkin, maybe 32 years old. And it's like an inspirational memoir. It talks about my story. And then the second one is the Eating and Recipe Guide. I think I have that one here. And that, yeah, that's like recipes. And that's when I was still like macrobiotic vegetarian, coming out of that, adding in more animal proteins. And then Health is Wealth, which I don't have here because I sold out. It's on there. Health is Wealth was the next one. And that teaches you joining a CSA, like making the most of your purchases, saving money and saving your health at the same time, right?
Sure.
Because everybody always says, "Oh, if you eat healthy, it's so expensive." That's not true. It's not true. Like my CSA, I pay $550 for 6 months worth of produce, and then I supplement with meats and eggs and all that stuff. But
That's
that comes
genius.
It comes out to $25 a week.
Oh my
literally
gosh.
$25 a week. And I get this huge bag of produce. And it keeps me in balance because it's grown upstate New York, right? So it gives you all of those little tips and tricks of how to get healthy. And then my last book was this Happy Healthy Thyroid. I figured, well, everybody kept asking me for a thyroid book. And so that's teaching you how to get the thyroid back in balance by not focusing solely on the thyroid. Understanding that the thyroid's not a solo operator operating on its own on the endocrine system. It's got all these brother and sister glands, and each of those glands are connected to other systems. It's all connected, right? So when you take the focus off the thyroid and you just start to rebalance the body, it helps the thyroid heal naturally. Adrenals will come back online. It's good. I love sharing knowledge and I love speaking truth. And again, it's my truth, and I share it. And if it resonates with anyone, then I want them to receive that. If it doesn't resonate with them, then go and get something else, right? Because I believe in not shoving information down people's throats, do this or die. But I always actively encourage people to tap in. Does that resonate with you? Does it sound true? If yes, apply it and see if it's true. See, don't just take my word for it. See if it's true for you.
Oh, no, 100% true. That there is so much truth to what you just said. And it's interesting. You brought up a couple points. One is, yes, we can work on a thyroid, but you have a hypothalamus, you have a pituitary, you have a pineal, you have adrenals, you have, you have all these other endocrine glands that work directly with it. And if you're not addressing and making sure the rest of the body is working, you're not, the body as a whole. It's not if you're addressing just one and not addressing others, then you're just not addressing. And it's actually interesting. You just gave me an answer that I am eternally grateful for, which is about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I asked some questions of people saying, hey, I know one of the biggest problems in the world right now is that eating really healthy and good, and eating is, co-op or organic as you can versus conventional, gets very expensive. And what are the ways to get people to eat healthier, even on a very fixed budget or lower income? And you just gave it, which is, I think how much you pay for your co-op is so good. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. $550. I mean, and also I have a mushroom share and I have a fruit share. So it goes up to about, $900 for like 24 weeks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I cut out the middleman. I go direct to the farmers.
That's what we have to do.
Yes, especially moving forward because, Doc, we don't know. I mean, we've seen what's happened in the past 18 months, which is
Right.
We're living in Twilight Zone bizarro land, right? So who's to say what they're going to do to the food supply? Meaning, like, are they going to cut people off from the food supply and tell them if you don't take this shot or whatever it is, if you don't do what we tell you, you're not going to eat, right? So I'm a big fan of cutting out the middleman, right? Go direct to the farmers. It saves you money. And if the food supply does get compromised in some way as we move forward, and I don't like to think that about people, but I think, like I said, people are lost, I think. They lost connection.
Yep.
So if the food supply gets compromised in some way, you'll still have direct connect to your farmer. You'll still get food delivered. You'll still get it, regardless of what's happening in the supermarket, regardless if the shelves are empty. So it's one way to protect yourself.
That is the absolute answer, and people are looking for that is the answer, is going in. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, we can all grow food, but not everyone is gonna take the time. A lot of people have different things going on in their world, kids, family, etc. Having some people who do grow their own, but also having these other co-ops and farms that can do it as well. That is how you get that happy balance of people getting what they need, especially also local, regional. So, now we're not depending on some other country delivering our stuff, or me being in Florida and somehow getting California oranges when I live in Florida, which is the most insane thing in the world. That's globalism, and that's why it doesn't work. That's why it doesn't work.
Hit the nail on the head.
That's why it doesn't work. Before you go today, because I have had a true joy with you, this is your site. You've been doing this for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, since 1999. So
oh my goodness.
I'm an OG, original gangsta of hell.
I love it. Tell everybody what you offer, so if they can use your services, they know what they can do.
Oh, I offer online programs. Like I said, I have students in every country around the world, as well as clients in every country around the world. I've had online programs for the past 10 years, so I didn't feel an impact from COVID, thank God.
Yep.
And I have a food is medicine program where you just learn the basics about getting into the kitchen to cook and use food and herbs as medicine, both culinary herbs and wild herbs, because a lot of people don't think of their kitchen and the culinary herbs as medicine, but they are totally medicine.
100%.
And and I have, if people want to work with me one-on-one, I do health coaching. And I have a whole list of programs, like for health coaches, for thyroid people, for, this is their private coaching. Yeah, they want to work directly and get some guidance. I'm happy to support people. I love doing this stuff.
Awesome.
I love my work.
Everything you're doing, I absolutely think is amazing. You're a true gift to humanity.
Thank you. And when are we going to have dinner? Me and you and your wife and my hubby?
100%. I'm all in. This would be amazing. You know what happens though? I'll be honest with you. What happens with dinners like this is we get together.
You're in Florida, right?
I'm in Florida. Yeah. Come on down.
We'll have to
come on down. But what happens when we get to dinner with these is we get to go to dinner, and it turns into like a 4 or 5 hour event because when you get people of the same energy together who just are on the same purpose and the same path, even if they're in different industries, the time just disappears because you're in such present time that the world doesn't exist anymore.
That's right.
Right? And that's exactly what everyone's actually looking for.
Yeah.
Present time moments. That's what we're looking for. Where are you on social media or anything like that? I went to your website because it was so amazing. I got glued to it.
Oh, yeah. I'm on Instagram. I don't know how much longer I'll be there because I do, have a tendency to share share truth, and they don't like it.
I've been banned on Facebook. I've been banned on YouTube, Twitter, like all of them.
Yeah, because you remember Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men? You can't handle the truth. Was it
Right.
A Few Good? You can't handle the truth. That's the world right now. You can't handle the truth. So on Instagram, it's Andrea Beaman. Same thing on Facebook, Andrea Beaman. Twitter, same thing. Until I get thrown off, and then I'll be somewhere else.
Well, I want you to stay not safe from health problems or health issues in New York. I just want you to stay safe in the city of New York because I know it's a little crazy right now. By the way, before we end, like, what does someone like you do with all the crazy draconian like vaccine passport to get in plate? Like, do you guys concern yourself with that, or do you just kind of like you're so light that you go in walls and outdoors and everything and nothing affects you?
Well, I haven't been a part of the system for over 2 decades, right? So my gym is Central Park. So there's so far, no, you don't need a passport to go into Central Park. But they're working on getting one, I'm sure. The stores that say you can't enter without a mask or if you don't have a vaccine, I just enter. Right? And people look at me and I give them a smile and a wave, and if they tell me oh, you can't be in here without a mask, I'll be like, all right, I've got one in my pocket, maybe I'll put one on, or I'll say, you got one for me.
Right, you're just flowing with life.
Yeah, I'm just flowing with life because I live in the city which is about to be put on some serious lockdown, and I'm not going to be a part of that lockdown. I'm not going to subject myself or my body to something that is not resonating with me on a deep level. And I'm hoping that my vibration will emanate outward and other people will say, well, I'm not going to do that either. Right? So we'll see what happens. We take it one day at a time.
That is so awesome. One of my very good friends, him and his family, they say, that's just not going to happen in my universe. And that's how it is. I love it. I love it. Well, Miss Andrea, you're amazing. I love having you on. I would definitely love to have you back. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Oh, and thank you for everything you're doing as well. Sending a lot of love and light to you and your family. Stay safe, stay happy, and enjoy every moment.
Thank you so much. Everybody out there in Brave TV Nation, this is Miss Andrea Beaman, AndreaBeaman.com. Check her out. If you are a female out there struggling with anything, hey, I know I can take care of you, but if this woman resonates with you, reach out to her and get the help you need, because to go forward, no matter what happens, we need strong women, we need strong men to make a better, not just America, but a better world. So for Miss Andrea, this is Dr. Jason Dean, Brave TV. Everyone have a wonderful and beautiful Friday and enjoy your weekend. Get some rest, relaxation, and get some grounding in, some good food. Take care and have a great day. Be well.